All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating concept called earthing. It's this simple idea that has some pretty profound implications. The science is starting to suggest that one of the most powerful sources of wellness might be, literally, right under our feet.
So let me just start by asking you this. What if one of the biggest secrets to feeling better isn't some expensive supplement or complicated therapy? What if it's as simple as taking off your shoes?
So the concept is called earthing, or sometimes you'll hear it called grounding. And it's really simple. It's just the act of reconnecting our bodies to the Earth's natural, subtle electrical charge. Think about walking barefoot on the grass or on a sandy beach. That direct skin-to-earth contact is the whole key. And as we're about to find out, it might have some pretty significant effects on our bodies.
So, where's the proof, right? Well, our first big clue comes from something pretty much all of us can relate to: muscle pain and the inflammation that drives it.
So, a group of researchers came up with this really clever study. They wanted to see if earthing could do anything about that awful, stiff, sore feeling you get a day or two after a really hard workout. You know the one? It's officially called delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS for short. And the setup was brilliant. A classic double-blind experiment. They took a bunch of healthy guys, had them do a killer calf workout, and then split them into two groups. One group slept on these special conductive sheets that were actually connected or grounded to the earth. The other group slept on sheets that looked and felt exactly the same, but they weren't connected. And here's the kicker. Nobody knew who was in which group.
And wow, the results were pretty striking. Take a look at the graph on the right. The gray line, that's the placebo group, shows this huge sustained spike in pain. But the grounded group, in red, they reported way less pain. Now, look at the graph on the left, and you'll see why. The placebo group had this massive spike in white blood cells, a textbook sign of inflammation. But for the grounded group, that whole inflammatory response was just incredibly muted.
The researchers themselves said there were significant differences in the pain levels. So, this wasn't just a tiny little effect. It was a clear, measurable change, both in how the guys felt and in what was actually happening inside their bodies.
Okay, so earthing seems to help with localized pain and inflammation. But is that it? Or could there be something bigger going on? Well, a team of researchers in Poland decided to look at the whole picture to see if there were effects across the entire body.
So this father and son duo, both physicians, Karol and Paweł Sokol, they conducted a whole series of experiments. And their question was really fundamental. Can connecting our bodies to the Earth's natural electric field actually help regulate our own internal biology?
And what they found was just incredible. It touched on so many different systems in the body. They saw changes related to bone health, blood sugar, how the immune system responds, and even hormone levels. Let's just quickly hit on some of the most amazing results.
Okay, check this out. For bone health, the effect was almost immediate. After just one single night of sleeping grounded, people were losing less calcium and phosphorus through their kidneys. Now, since losing those minerals is a major risk factor for osteoporosis, this hints that earthing could actually help keep our bones strong.
And then there's blood sugar. And again, the speed here is just wild. In one patient with diabetes, it took only 72 hours of continuous grounding to see their fasting blood sugar levels start to come down. That really points to a potential role in helping the body manage glucose better.
So what about our immune system, our body's defense force? Well, after getting a vaccine, the group that was grounded showed a faster, more powerful immune response. They had a quicker spike in gamma globulins, the proteins that are basically the soldiers of our immune system. It suggests their bodies were just responding more efficiently.
Okay, let's just pause for a second. We've talked about inflammation, bone density, blood sugar, immune function. What on earth is the common thread here? What's the big takeaway from all this?
Well, the Sokol researchers came to a really powerful conclusion. They suggested that this connection to the Earth might not just be some minor influence. They said it could be a primary factor that helps regulate our body's two master control systems, the endocrine system, which handles hormones, and the nervous system. That's a huge statement.
And while all the lab studies are incredible, it's the real-world stories that really bring this home. Take the case of a woman named Mrs. Song Myung-suk. Her fasting blood sugar was at 460, which is dangerously high. And through the simple daily practice of barefoot walking, she reportedly brought it all the way down into the normal healthy range of the 80s and 90s. That's the kind of story that just makes you go, wow.
And all of this really leads us to one massive, thought-provoking question. Think about it. In our modern lives, we live in insulated homes, we wear rubber-soled shoes, we are almost totally disconnected from the Earth's surface. Could this lost connection be a missing piece of the puzzle? A forgotten factor in why we see so many chronic health issues today?
Look, the science here is definitely still growing and evolving, but you have to admit, it's pretty compelling stuff. If this has sparked your curiosity at all and you want to learn more or connect with other people who are exploring this, you can check out the National Barefoot Walking Movement headquarters on Naver Cafe. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found it interesting, please give us a like and subscribe for more. We'll see you on the next one.